When boredom strikes for most people, YouTube, TV, or Netflix are the usual remedies. But when boredom strikes for a highly skilled engineer, brilliant and occasionally bizarre things happen. From automatic dog petting machines to totally ridiculous DIY vehicles, let's check out some amazing machines built when engineers got bored. Number 20. Mantis Robot. This land-crawling machine may look like something from the Transformers franchise, but I can assure you, it's very real. The machine, known as the Mantis Robot, was built by Matt Denton, a highly skilled designer and inventor whose work you may recognize. Matt was, in fact, the designer of a now famous functioning BB-8 robot. But when he's not working on movies, Matt builds incredible machines like the six-legged Mantis Robot, which he headed the design, build, and programming over the course of 4 years. Variable controls allow the hydraulic legs to move all at once or individually for scaling uneven terrain or moving obstacles. And if you're nervous about driving the 2-ton beast, it can also be controlled wirelessly over Wi-Fi. With the Guinness World Record for largest rideable hexapod under its belt, this project is an inspiration to aspiring cyborg overlords everywhere. Number 19. Self-solving Rubik's Cube. All over the world, Rubik's Cubes with jumbled colors sit collecting dust in the homes of kids who were too impatient to figure out how to solve them. But if everyone had access to the types of Rubik's Cubes Takashi Kaburagi makes, those jumbled up Rubik's Cubes would all be solved. Why? Because Takashi's cubes solved themselves. Thanks to a combination of position tracking algorithms, tiny processors, and a 3D printed rotation system, Takashi's cubes can identify the solution and carry it out, all in around a minute. Best of all, Takashi's latest design incorporates magnets that allow it to levitate while it solves. Because everything's better with levitation. Number 18. Domino Coliseum. There's nothing more satisfying than knocking down some dominoes. But Benjamin Cruzier takes it to the next level using simple wooden blocks to create absolute masterpieces, with the sole purpose of knocking them down. One of his best works, a huge 22,000 block Coliseum, took 3 people 2 days to construct and seconds to knock down. But thanks to his immaculate planning, the collapse is a spectacle in itself. Knocking it all down may seem like the last thing you'd want to do after 2 days of solid work, but for Benjamin, it's the best part. Number 17. Joseph's Machines. Dominoes are one thing, but YouTuber Joseph's Machines uses household objects to create his incredible and highly entertaining Rube Goldberg-esque sequences. Take his meticulously planned out page turner, for example, which keeps your hands free while reading. Joseph also likes to solve everyday problems in extremely creative ways, like with his somewhat terrifying ham slicing machine. Or his toothbrushing machine that locks onto the user's head and only releases a key after 2 minutes of brushing. Joseph has produced countless amazing machines over the years, so to experience their brilliance to the fullest, check out his channel. Number 16. Creative engagements. When it comes to marriage proposals, sometimes the standard approach isn't enough. Luckily, a handful of skilled creative Redditors have a solution. These engagement ring boxes are designed with such smooth yet sophisticated opening actions, they run the risk of stealing the show from the engagement ring itself. The carefully designed, perfectly interlocking pieces are sure to put the odds of your partner saying yes in your favor. Number 15. Christmas contraption. When the holiday season rolls around, it's easy to get tired of the same old lights and tinsel. But Reddit user GSCGamer426 spotted a refreshingly unique set of decorations while visiting a friend. Using an ingenious combination of a fidget spinner, a simple motor, pulleys, hooks, and baubles, the designer created an automated dancing display that brings the joys of creative engineering to Christmas. Number 14. Tremendous fun. Staying on the festive theme, we have this Christmas tree, designed by Jordy Moose. They can play its own version of the classic game Snake. Using a Raspberry Pi computer and trackable LEDs to control the snake's position, Jordy was able to bring the game out of the screen and into his living room. It can all be controlled using a Bluetooth DualShock controller, and with both single and two-player modes, it promises to put the back into the holidays. Number 13. Jet cars. When discussing engineers with too much time on their hands, the word jet-powered is inevitably going to come up at some point. And indeed, there are plenty of examples of engineers strapping jet engines onto things they probably shouldn't. Like this jet-powered smart car put together by Rocket Billy Racing. While it certainly gives off an impressive flame, its speed is slightly less impressive. So let's check out what a jet-powered car with a little more oomph looks like. This is the Toyota MR2 jet car, designed and built by toy junkies. Just listening to those dual rear jets howling into action is enough to know this car means business. And when it hits the track at speed, the real fun starts. This crazy project saw the team of mechanics strip out the original engine of the car, replacing it with two turbine engines usually used in helicopters. Providing movement through exhaust thrust, these engines, which can deliver over 1,100 horsepower, aren't the most practical or safest way to get around. But there's no denying, they look absolutely awesome. Number 12. Norwegian riverboat. Sadly, not everyone in this world can afford a luxurious yacht, or even a small boat to sail the seven seas. But a shortage of traditional boating equipment didn't stop this group of seafarers captured sailing their DIY vessel in early 2020. With a mobile home precariously secured onto a homemade hull, the worthy vessel is pushed along by an engine and propeller, all while proudly bearing the Norwegian flag. If this is Norwegian ingenuity, I'm on board, until it inevitably capsizes 10 minutes later. Number 11. Lego Genius. Lego bricks have been the childhood starting point for many a future engineer. But some people apply the skill and practice of engineering to Lego itself, like the team at JK Brickworks. These bricktastic builders created a tiny Lego version of the Large Hadron Collider. appropriately naming it the Large Brick Collider. With variable speeds, this contraption uses a simple pair of toy wheels and a Lego Technic motor to accelerate the balls around the track. While it's unlikely to be solving any of physics' biggest questions anytime soon, this simple system of motors and bricks is a lot of fun to watch in action. Even more entertaining is this mechanical 3D racing game, likewise made entirely from Lego. Using programmable Lego Mindstorms hardware, YouTuber BrickBox was able to create a real-world representation of classic arcade racing games. If it's as fun to play as it looks, I'm going to need to get at least 10 of these. Number 10. Homemade Roomba. Cleaning the house can be a real chore, and not everyone can afford a fancy automatic Roomba to hoover up dust and debris. Luckily, Reddit user Isaac the Gamer06 has you covered with his hilarious and aptly named Bristlebot. With a simple battery pack, motor, and brush, you too can clean one small spot in your kitchen floor for hours at a time.
We could use it with like a propeller.
Genius, right? Number 9. SufferBot 3000. Not all feats of engineering have to be pleasant. Case in point, this hilariously awful device, created by Reddit user Yayeet6. With a motor, a mount, a knife, and a metal sheet, the contraption produces what might be the most unpleasant sound in the world. Now available for purchase in hell. Number 8. Double-decker driving. While it certainly takes some know-how to be an engineer, that doesn't necessarily mean all engineering-minded folk have a good sense of health and safety. Like the man who was caught driving a car with another car secured to his roof in Wales in 2019. While the driver insisted there was no risk of the Skoda Octavia detaching from his Volkswagen Passat, the police weren't convinced. Having been issued an 80-pound fine, in future hopefully this double-decker driver will only cruise his contraptions in private. After all, no pedestrian wants or expects to be crushed by a crazy engineer's falling car. Number 7. Automatic Dog Petter. Most people enjoy the simple pleasure of petting a dog, but what about folks who are too strapped for time to give their canine friend the attention they deserve? Well, thanks to this clever invention by Thompson Woodworks, incorporating wooden gears, hands, and a motor, a pup can receive a hearty petting without their owner being present. The smaller drill-operated version even spouts off words of praise.
I love you. You're so pretty.
A slightly less effective but no less endearing take on the idea was produced by Redditor Paulita Perez B for her cat. It might not be as complex, but the cat seems to be enjoying it. Number 6. Lightning Sword. Have you ever been out on the battlefield slaying your enemies and thought, man, I wish this sword could electrocute people? Well, you're in luck, because in 2017, YouTuber JLaser Video took it upon himself to strap two swords together and deck them out with a few extras. For starters, a battery pack concealed in the hilt powers lights along the blades, perfect for the futuristic warrior traveling in the dark. Also hidden in the hilt is a fully functional taser, which electrifies the blades of the sword, causing it to shock whatever it comes into contact with. All jokes aside, this contraption is anything but a toy, and is one that you definitely shouldn't try at home. Number 5. Quasi-turbines. Sometimes the unusual appearance of legitimate engineering designs end up making them look like they're the product of a boring afternoon and a few too many cold ones. Like quasi-turbines, which, despite their mind-bending appearance, are actually meticulously designed, proposed alternative types of engines. They work by rotating in an extremely satisfying manner, compressing fuel in internal chambers until it combusts. Although if I had one, I'd probably just keep it on my desk to fiddle with when I'm bored. What? I'm not an engineer. Number 4. Little 8-wheeler. For well over a century, cars have followed the old reliable 4-wheel formula pretty consistently. Well, for the most part. But the Russian auto hackers of Garage 54 doubled up on wheels when they modified a Fiat Uno in early 2020. With a whole load of metal cutting equipment and axles, the team were able to turn this into this, and eventually into this. Whether it's a monstrosity or not is a matter of opinion. But with 8 fully functioning wheels, and if you're driving around in this, who cares about opinions? Number 3. Hutland Kugel Motor. Despite appearances, this strange-looking metal sphere is not part of a yet-to-be-assembled robot. It's actually a Hutland Kugel motor, a relatively new type of engine designed by Dr. Herbert Hutland, a man who clearly knows how to spend his spare time wisely. The engine is intended for use as a driving range extender in hybrid vehicles to provide extra power in addition to the vehicle's electric motor. Like a regular engine, the Kugel motor takes in fuel, but it combusts it through a complex rotation and compression process that's totally mesmerizing to watch represented graphically. With only 60 components compared to roughly 250 in a standard engine, these unusual spheres are more efficient and economical, and we may be seeing more of them as electric vehicles become more prevalent. Number 2. Robot mouth. Sometimes engineering just gets super weird, which is exactly the case with this unnerving machine, produced by a research team at Kagawa University. The robotic mouth is designed to simulate the human voice by sending compressed air through a silicone resonance tube, complete with a tongue and a plaster cast nose. Metal arms compress the resonance tube to shape the sound's timbre and pitch like the muscles in a real human vocal tract, resulting in, well, this. Until we can make their mouths look and sound less terrifying, perhaps our robots should be seen and not heard. Number 1. Tomatan. The beauty of engineering is that it can be adapted to suit any need, like making eating tomatoes easier. Yes, I'm serious. Designed by Japanese juice company Kagome, this little on-the-shoulders robot is called Tomatan, and was built back in 2015 to provide automated nutrition to runners in the Tokyo Marathon. Or at least that was the idea. The fact that the thing weighs 18 pounds probably put all but the most committed endurance runners off. Tomatan can be stocked up with tomatoes round the back, where the little red guy's arms can rotate and pick one up before delivering it directly to the wearer's mouth. While it's more likely a publicity stunt than an attempt to revolutionize eating on the go, I can't help wanting a little tomatan of my own. Maybe I can train it to bring me beer.